All right, boys and girls, just got home. It's 11:25 p.m. I just got home from working Football Americas with the ESPN studio with the boys and girls, and did post World Cup qualification, and of course, U.S. men's national team versus Uruguay. And usually, I do this the day after. I'll get myself a little drink, digest mentally, and then the next day give an analysis of the analysis I gave the night before and kind of seeing if it changed at all. On the way back from work, 25-minute drive, I put on Mauricio Pochettino's press conference and I'm listening to it. And the first two questions set Mauricio Pochettino off. And he was set off, and I'm paraphrasing. First question was from Doug McIntyre, who works at Fox, who is a partner with U.S. Soccer. So he's going to see a lot and deal a lot with those people and Doug McIntyre, et cetera, et cetera. Really common question about the changes made and the regulars. And right there, Mauricio Pochettino stopped him cold. What do you mean regulars? And kind of started getting testy, started getting defensive, and started saying that's disrespectful to the players. And I can kind of see what he means by that. No player wants to be seen as a non-regular or not an important piece. So, okay. Paul Tenorio, who works at The Athletic, comes on and says the series with Turkey and Switzerland, you made a bunch of changes. That didn't go well. Now you make a bunch of changes after the game against Paraguay to face Uruguay, and that does go well. What does it say that you made all these changes? And it goes, well, kind of lobbing up a little, tossing up a little opportunity for Pochettino to just slam it, dunk it, just be like, it says that we're working well. It should say that we're a deep team. Just a million ways he could have gone with it, and he gets defensive. And it makes Paul Tenorio feel uncomfortable, makes the room feel uncomfortable, makes Michael Cameraman, who's, his head of communications for U.S. Soccer right there, feel uncomfortable. And it's just a really unnecessary moment for Mauricio Pochettino, because I'm sitting here talking about Mauricio Pochettino blowing a gasket with these two reporters over what could be maybe lost in translation. I don't think so. I just think he wants to make it known that there are no regulars on his team. But there are regulars. They're the ones you play the most, and there are those who you don't play the most. Whether that means Christian Pulisic is a regular, or that means that Weston McKennie is a regular, or that means Tyler Adams is a regular, or not, is up to you. But there are regulars, and there are non-regulars. If not, you would start the same lineup every single game. And to date, you've not done that. You've not done that. So there are. So I wanted to come up here and talk about the U.S. men's national team dominating Uruguay. The first signature win for Mauricio Pochettino. And I would say for this national team, this era of players, this group of players who's been around, who were handed and gifted appearances, who were with Greg Berhalter, their biggest marquee win was Mexico. Their biggest game was a draw with England. Never dismantled a World Cup winning team that's won a World Cup, Uruguay. A South American opponent of that pedigree, a team of that intensity, a coach with that resume in Marcelo Bielsa. You did this. You did this, and you did it your way, Mauricio Pochettino. You did it making the changes you wanted to with the players you wanted, and they proved you right. I've been heavily critical of player selection. I, along with a lot of people, have criticized and questioned why the Major League Soccer player here and not the European player. These players tonight proved you right. And this is what we're talking about. Why? I want to talk about Max Arfston and how good he is going forward in the final third. Deficiencies defensively? Absolutely. But Do I think he'll make the World Cup team? Yeah. Do I think he'll come on in a game, maybe a goal down, and have the ability to unlock a defense because he's good 1v1 and has what very few players in the U.S. men's national team don't have, which is that? I could count maybe 3 or 4: Serginho Dest, Christian Pulisic, Giovanni Reina, in a certain type of way of when he bypasses players, but you don't have that type of player. So I think he'll be an asset. Alex Freeman playing as a third center back today. Scores a brace, puts Ronald Araujo on skates. Ronald Araujo should retire after what Alex Freeman did to him. That's how bad he made him look. He had a brace. Sebastian Berhalter. His ability to hit a set piece alone may get him on this national team. Really? I mean, he's going to get on the national team in the World Cup most likely because he can play an array of different positions. But his ability on set pieces is evident. And for the first time in a long time, the U.S. men's national team is dangerous on set pieces. You've got somebody who could take them. You've got a lot of size and ability to get on the end of those set pieces. Chris Richards. You've got Alex Freeman. You have players like Miles Robinson if he's in the game. You've got Folarin Balogun, Haji Wright. You've got Giovanni Reina, who's got some size to him. You've got, good Lord, Tanner Tessman. You've got an array of players on that team now who have absolute size, and now that's an asset for you. We should be sitting here and talking about that game. Giovanni Reina, the comeback tour, 2 games, a goal and 2 assists. If you want to give him the other assist or not, whatever. A goal, and he created 2 more goals. We should be talking about this. We should be talking about the U.S. men's national team undefeated in 5, all against World Cup opposition. Now, let's take it with a grain of salt. I understand. These are teams who have already qualified for the World Cup, and we can question the strength of those squads when they faced them. Alternate lineups or not, that's not the U.S. men's national team's problem. They were losing to the likes of, respectfully, Panama, Mexico. They were struggling, with different types of opposition. We should be talking about the identity that is starting to set with the U.S. men's national team and Mauricio Pochettino and his involvement in that. And we're talking about him blowing a gasket because he takes offense to regulars or not. I want to give the man his flowers. Let's give the man his flowers. I don't want to focus on this, but it feels like this is going to be what people are talking about tomorrow. I understand his frustrations with the media. I've worked with a lot of these people and they do good work. A lot of them do. But there are those who gain a credential who don't sometimes ask right questions or know how to ask the right questions. Those are questions about the set piece, and Mauricio Pochettino, if they work on those type of things, he's like, no, it happened by coincidence, sarcastically. I know it could be frustrating. I get it. The same way it's frustrating for a footballer or a coach in any other setting, just go to the default, okay? Default handbook playbook. There's no need. I thought it was unnecessary. I want to give the man his flowers. I want to talk about football. I want to talk about the good things he did on the field. Not this. Tomorrow, I'm sure we're going to see a lot about this. But focus on the football. Focus on the depth that is starting to show. Because he may say there are no regulars, but there are regulars. And there are differences in players. And there are pedigrees and hierarchies. And there are players not here who fit that mold. That does not mean Mauricio Pochettino caters to these players and their automatic bids to start or to go. But it does mean they are players of a different ilk, players of a different category in this pool because of their equity. That's all it means. That's all it means. Mauricio Pochettino has started something within that group where they feel at any given moment, if your number is called upon, you could be that starter. That is great. But let's not ignore the realities. There are some regulars on this national team due to how much they've played for you. It's a reality. And this team did good things in both of these games. And that's what you should be focusing on. It's going to be a while until you see the U.S. men's national team and Mauricio Pochettino play again. March. Months are going to go by, and it's going to be the last camp before a send-off game in June. And then the World Cup, the real deal. That's where we're going to measure Mauricio Pochettino because the bar has been set. You reset the market, paying him $6 million a year. You've never had a coach of his caliber. On paper, you've never had an opportunity at home in a World Cup with this type of player that you have in this type of pool. We will measure him at the World Cup. There's no need, at least in my book, for this. Drop your comments. Let me know what you think. Find the press conference. Watch it all. I didn't think the questions were unfair. Well, the set piece one was dumb. But the rest of the questions, I didn't think they were unfair. Taken out of context on social media, yes. Taken maybe the wrong way. Lost in translation by Mauricio Pochettino. Maybe. You decide. Let me know what you think.